All right, just as quick as I can, I'm going to show you some more advanced test and quizzing options in Socrative. So we started in the last video doing single question activities, very simple things to just sort of take polls in classrooms, ask questions maybe that you've posted on the board, just kind of generally get some information. You could use it as a ticket out the door, lots of different things. Now we're going to talk about some quiz-based activities. So we can do a regular plain old-fashioned quiz or test. We can do an exit ticket, and we can do a space race game, which is a lot of fun. I'm going to show you each of those. But the important part, to be able to do any of these activities, I have to have created a quiz. So I have to have something that's actually built into the program that's there long-term, as opposed to the single question activities we did before, which were just kind of on the fly spontaneous. These are not as spontaneous. So we'll go ahead and go into manage quizzes, and you'll notice it's going to give you some information here. It's going to tell you your room number. Remember, that doesn't change, students in the room, and it's going to give you the ability to create or import a quiz. So let's first look at importing quizzes. You can import a shared quiz. So in Edmode or in Socrative, I apologize, getting all my different things mixed up here. Inside of Socrative, one of the things they do is when you create a quiz, you get this SOC number, and the SOC number can be entered by somebody else, and it will import all of those questions in the quiz. So this is a great way to share and collaborate with your fellow teammates. So if you have a three people teaching third grade, maybe one of you has built an excellent quiz. You can share it with your other team members. They can all then give that exact quiz out without having to duplicate the work over and over again. So it's a really important thing that you do that. All of the instructions to do that are just right here, and you're going to see in just 1 second where that SOC number comes from. You can also import a quiz from Excel, and this is a nice way if you're building a large quiz and you want to edit it in something that's a little easier to do. I've got it in numbers here. This is what it gives you. It gives you a template where you can ask the type of question, and then you can fill in which answer is correct and those types of things all in here. And it's really made for Microsoft Excel. So if you don't have Microsoft Excel on your computer, you're going to want to get that for this. I only have numbers, and it does not have all of the same functionality that they built into the spreadsheet, so just keep that in mind. But I did want you to see what that looks like. All right, so if you decide to import that quiz, you would choose the file, you would find the file, and you would import it, and you're good to go. All right, so let's look at the next option here, which is to create a quiz. Instead of importing it, I want to just create it. This is where I think a lot of you will spend a lot of your time. So we're just going to make this quiz, which is just a sample quiz for video. And right here, it gives me that option for sharing. It says, if you'd like to enable sharing, you click the checkbox. It's checked by default. And what it's going to do is give you a SOC number, so you could pass that around to any of your colleagues that you would like to have that. Now it says choose the type of question you would like to add. Multiple choice or short answer. These are your two choices, because really everything falls into one of those two categories. So let's look at the multiple choice option here. So it's going to give us, when I clicked on add, you'll notice it just added one drop down for one question. And so I'll add a question. Let's see here. My desk. There's a good question. And now what I'm going to do is give it a couple answers. So I'll say 2 is one answer, 5, we'll say 10, and we'll say none. And then what we're going to do is the checkboxes here represent the correct answer. So in this case, I do not have any pens on my desk. I'm going to click none as the answer. How you're supposed to know that, I don't know, but it's just a sample question. All right. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and do a short answer. So this will be, please describe my office. And it would leave this, basically it's going to give you a blank slate where you could answer that question in a short answer. And short answers are going to need to be graded by the teacher whereas the multiple choice questions will be graded by the software. So keep that in mind. You can, on short answer, if it's just one word or two words, you can put an answer in here. So I'm just going to put awesome. And if that person that's answering this question answers exactly as it is written in this text box here, it would grade it for you. So sometimes you can get away with some real short or single word type things and pull it off, but you'll find that it's still a little hit or miss as to how that works. The other thing I wanted you to notice is that as I'm adding questions, it does have add image. And if I choose an image file, that image will show up right here to kind of guide the question along. So maybe it's a picture of something, maybe it would be a picture of my desk, and then you would say how many pens are on it. That would make a little more sense. So I'm going to just go ahead and add that real quick. So let's find that image. Here we go. I'm going to choose it. And now it's going to load an image. So this would make a little more sense to anybody that was actually trying to answer this question. There's a picture of my desk, and I've got my answers there, so the person would be able to go through here, count how many they see, and then go for it. All right. Once we've completed our quiz, it's very simple. We're going to save it. And this is where you're going to get this SOC number. Now that SOC number is something you'd want to write down or keep handy, because that would be what I could pass along to anybody to give this quiz. So if you're following along at home or you're trying this, you could actually enter that SOC number, because I did allow it to be shared, and it would pull up the quiz that I just created. All right, so now that I've created a quiz, let's look at a couple of the other options before we get out of this section. You can edit a quiz. So editing a quiz, you just simply open up your variety of quizzes here, pick the one that you want, hit edit, and it's going to take us back to the screen we were just at. If you'd like to duplicate the quiz, this is a good thing to do if maybe you have a quiz that you give for different periods, but you want to maybe make modifications to one class over the other. So maybe one class didn't quite get as far through the book, or something that you maybe hit a roadblock, so you want to take a couple questions out, but most of the quiz applies. This is what you do. You duplicate the quiz, then edit one of those quizzes, and then you'd have it. If you wanted to delete the quiz, that's kind of goes without saying. You would just hit delete, and it would actually delete the quiz that you have highlighted right here in this box. So this down here is some reporting options, and after we take the quiz, we'll look at the reporting options, because this is really why we're doing this. If we do the quiz electronically, we're going to get great data back, and we're going to get it instantly, as opposed to having to grade it or go over to the Scantron machine and do it that way. All right, so let's go ahead and go back to the main screen. And remember, I've got students in my classroom who are just eagerly awaiting the test. And I've got 3 students that are going to show up here momentarily, and they're ready for their quiz. So in order for me to start a quiz, remember I started the single questions by just clicking on this one button. Now I'm going to click Start Quiz. And when I start quiz, I'm going to grab the quiz that I want to. So I'm going to grab the sample quiz for video. And now I'm given 2 opportunities. I can do a student-paced quiz or a teacher-paced quiz. Student-paced quiz means they go through the quiz at their own pace, and they're going to answer the questions as they can. Teacher-paced quiz is different in the sense it's going to give one quiz question at a time. When the teacher sees that everybody's done or would like to move on, the teacher would then navigate to the next question. So I'm going to show you that version because it's a little different. The student-paced quiz is pretty self-explanatory. It's just like handing out a paper quiz and saying start and begin. But this is a little different. But before I open that up real quick, I want you to notice here too, randomize answer choices. So remember how we selected whether it was A, B, C, or D that was correct? Well, what you can do on a digital test that you can't do in a paper test is I can randomize my answer choices, which means it's going to put the answers in a different order on everybody's iPad or device that they're taking the quiz on. Meaning I can't look at my buddies and see that he answered C for number 14. It wouldn't work that way. You can also disable immediate right and wrong feedback. So if you don't really want them to know until the end of the quiz how they did, you would hit that so that it didn't give them feedback. Otherwise, it is going to tell them whether or not they got the question right or wrong as they go. I tend to like to disable this because I think it adds some anxiety to students. If they're answering questions and they're keep getting them wrong and keep getting them wrong, they can kind of get deflated and just possibly give up. So I tend to disable it. Then you can also hide question explanations. So as you were creating those questions, you could actually add some explanations. We didn't go over that, but you'll get it when you go into there. Let's go ahead and say teacher paced quiz. All of the students are now currently getting logged in here, and the quizzes are showing up. And so right now it's set to have results show up on the screen live. So if you had this put on the board, students would be seeing how each other is doing kind of as a group on the quiz. Sometimes this is great if you're doing an informal kind of thing where you're assessing something you just taught. It might be good for everybody to kind of see everybody's results, but you may not want to do that. So you might want to hide live results, or possibly you are just viewing this on your own computer. Maybe you're sitting at your desk while you're giving this quiz. Then you would go ahead and leave that open, and you would be able to watch them take the test. And then as a teacher, you probably get just as nervous. So I'm going to start by entering a name. So you have to do that in each one. And I'm going to go ahead and hit submit. And I want you to see how this starts to change. We now see that one student is logged in. Let me do another one. All right. Let's do a last one. So where we go, we've got 3 people that are logged in and are ready to take the test. Now, we are doing a quiz that's actually being prompted by the teacher. So the students are seeing this screen right now, which says, waiting for teacher to send next question. And in other words, they don't have the choice to move on to the next question. Now on this screen here, you'll see that I can say send next question to student. So let me kind of move these both so you can kind of see what happens. So I'm going to go ahead and click send next question to students, and I want you to see that on their iPad the question is now going to show up, and notice that our nice little picture shows up there as well, so you can see that that's what happened. So I'm going to go ahead and answer this. All right, we've answered it, and this is the live feedback that you're getting, and it's updating live as the students are taking the quiz. And you can, again, remember, hide that or continue. So let's go ahead and send the next question to the students, and now the students are getting that. It says please describe my office, and there we go. You can see right there that I have the option to describe it, and I was already prompted that it was awesome, so I'm putting awesome in. And let's go ahead and say submit. And let's see what kind of results we get back. All right, so let's go here. Let's look at live results. So now because they answered with the answers, it's going to give them there. And the ones that answered awesome, it did tell the student that it was correct. The ones that answered incorrectly, it told them they were incorrect. However, if I would not have put an answer in that one line as I created that quiz, it would just leave this for me to actually be able to grade later. So let's go ahead and end the activity. And I want you to see that you've got a few options. You can email a report to yourself, or you can download a report, or you can say no report, this was good enough. I'm going to download the report. And what we are going to get in just 1 second as it downloads is a report that will give us some great data and feedback. And this report is in an Excel format. Again, I'm opening it on numbers. That's why it might look a little different than you are used to. But you'll notice it's going to list all of your students, their names. It's going to tell you every single question, whether or not they got it correct, and they color code it. So it's great. You can see right away that the green is good and the red is bad. What's nice about this, though, is that if you see a column where every single person got red, you know that A, you need to reteach that content, or B, it's a bad question. So you'll be able to really go through and get some great information about your quizzes. Then you've got your total score right here. Just enter that right in your grade book, and away you go. So that covers kind of the basics that I wanted to talk about for this video. In the next video, I am going to talk about the exit ticket and the space race real quick so that you can use those in your classroom.